Welcome.
Okay.
I'm glad to have you both here. My name is Ismel Sanon, and I'd like to welcome you to Sanon Global, LLC, Jersey City, New Jersey.
Okay. And tell us, how did you come up with the idea from this business, for this business? What was your start? And why did you pick Greenville? I mean, MLK, at the heart of Greenville, to open up your company?
MLK, first I want to highlight on the point that my vision for opening this always said we're going to have a conference center. And the conference center, we wanted to name it the Dream Center. And we figured MLK Drive, Dream Center would make perfect sense to be here.
Nice. Why did you pick this particular location on MLK? Because you're like in the heart of what some consider the inner city, the hood. I know you probably got a lot of people that said, why are you opening up this type of business service here in this community? Who are you going to service? So,
That is true. This location means a lot for me because early on when I first moved to Jersey City back in 2001, I volunteered at Urban League and I constantly passing by here and I noticed Mary Bethune Center, um, Life of the Friends of the Lifers, as well as NAACP. So I figured this area would have been an ideal place. But as far as picking Jersey City, I also volunteered at the Hudson County Superior Court, and somewhat, I believe, 2007, I realized that there's a lot of funding were being slashed from the New Jersey Legal Services. And I realized that there were a lot of people that were being underserved. The people that was using the services of legal services live within the 07305 area. So I figured that area would have been an ideal place to position ourselves so we could connect with the people in this area.
now what does it mean to you, being the lone Republican, because you are a Republican?
Yeah.
What does it mean being a lone Republican in a community that has high welfare, people on welfare, people on government assistance, being around people that are obviously Democrats? What are some of the problems that you see, or challenges rather, not problems, but challenges that you see in the community, the people who want to be entrepreneurs? They want to come provide as far as an example to young people and older people as well. What do you think the Republican mindset can bring to a community, an impoverished community like Greenville?
Well, it is my own study, and regardless how people view Republican, is that some group and the middle class and possibly the lower class often do better. But as far as myself, Democrat, to me, I feel like they talk a lot about working for the middle class and lower class, but I don't seem to see that happening. Constantly, I've seen the rich getting richer under Democrat, but not what they practice. And as far as myself, when you touch base about welfare, food stamp, and so on, I'm somewhat okay of people that truly needs welfare to get welfare. But the idea of putting them on welfare and limit how much they can make and giving them a large access amount of years for them to consistently be in welfare, to me, that's a definite no-no. That's something I clearly don't support. I do believe there should be a cap, the numbers of years that they should, from the start, let these people know, hey, you're going to be on welfare for X amount of years, and you got to find a way to do better. Now, in terms of businesses, in terms of support, I do believe that we are offering a lot of support, not just myself, other organizations, but county, city, I don't believe they providing the right support. I also feel like as a Republican, I do believe that instead of really investing in the people that needs it, meaning the small entrepreneur that's coming up, they invest in larger corporation, giving seminar, giving different type of things that we don't need, because some of those seminar does not feed the small business individual. If you go into a seminar, you basically listening to Fortune 500 business ideas, but we are not Fortune 500 yet. We want ideas that how we can grow our business. We want the city to format their curriculum in a way that we could grow. Giving you an example, zoning. I believe zoning as well as planning department, they should really take a look at small business and see how they could make the statute, the law, a lot easier so we could access what we need to access, whether it's loan or the permit that we need to create a good business to start with.
Democrats have a tendency to always want to offer programs. The Republican ideology is more geared to, if you're willing to help yourself, we're willing to give you enough freedom so that you can help yourself.
Offering program, it is exactly what I mentioned much earlier. They do offer a program, but if you look at how they offer the program, they contract a larger corporation to provide the program. And that corporation comes in, instead of do a basic study on what's going on, what it takes for a small entrepreneur, a new entrepreneur to come into the business, grow the business, they create a study that works for Fortune 500. Now you sit in here, the city or the county is paying a larger corporation money to provide those type of training, but the training does not gear directly to what we need to grow our business. In addition, our voice is not truly heard fast enough. Okay, so if we have an issue in terms of whether, the city is not cleaning the street, and at this moment I gotta say they're doing a solid job cleaning, but they're not coming on. If in terms of assisting on additional patrolling, we don't get to see those often enough. So as far as the city, the county providing support, or I should say Democrat providing support, I believe they talk more than what they actually do. On the other hand, Republican does give you the support. The Republican, to me, I feel like they will tell you they're not going to sugarcoat it. If they said they're not going to help, they will tell you before election and after election. On the other hand, Democrat doesn't do that. They'll make you empty promises, but Republican just tell you as is. And I think we as individuals needs to start listening closer to the words that are being said.
Do you think that, you live in a community, you run your business rather in a community that is predominantly people of color, whether they're African American or through the African diaspora, they're Latino, or second or first generation immigrant community, because that is what Greenville is. Do you feel that, do you feel like the Republican doctrine or the Republican ideology that the people who live in this community, specifically African Americans, there was a time that the majority of African Americans were Republicans. And a lot of people would say that when they were Republicans, they had their own businesses. They had to. I mean, the country was a lot different. There was overt racism. But the Republican ideology of do for self, help yourself, have your own businesses, have your own community. Do you think that with so many African Americans who have become Democrats and with all the programs, believe that a part of their very core self-esteem that's been withheld almost as systematic. Not that welfare isn't needed. Of course it's needed, but do you think welfare should be more geared for people that have actually paid into the system instead of supporting people for years that have they don't even pay taxes on welfare? They're having their children on welfare, they're living on welfare, and then when working class people are hit with a tsunami or their jobs have been shipped out of the country and they go for help, the first thing they get is a no. It's like if you don't go downtown, excuse the expression, with 3 or 4 children. If you're a working class woman or you're a divorced woman and you're raising your children, it's almost like there's no help for you. Do you think that that welfare would be better geared if it was changed to first deal with the needs of the working class person out of work, the working class person that's been hit with an emergency, and then help who's never worked, who's never served their country, who's never served their community? They're getting the benefits that you're paying into. And I think that for a lot of people, when they think of Republicans, they think of, let's concentrate on a person that's actually paying into the system first.
That is true. And I'll go back to Romney. I think Romney made a statement that most people didn't appreciate it. And that's, to me, I appreciated what he stated. He said, if you need to start a business, line up your family and ask them for a loan. My first business, I actually included this business. I got a loan for my family. My family assists me on building this business. And he was right, but he was criticized for saying it because people, just like you said, they expect government should make loan much more easier, more accessible. With a lot of people having bad credit, but yet you still got to fund them because that's what government should do. And I support Romney for that because Romney was 100% right. And I also support all your statement because with the fact of being a Democrat, to me, my own study, my own review, I felt like a lot of people here, they don't even understand what it means to be a Democrat or Republican. All I feel like they have come to do is that, hey, my mom was a Democrat. Oh, she said Democrat did this for them and so on. So they kind of keep going back and forth saying that I am a Democrat without knowing why they should be a Democrat or a Republican. And again, I have done extremely well under a Republican president. And again, most people hate Christie. I admire Christie. Christie came in, cleaned up a lot of dirt that was going on, money that belongs to us, okay, that was being wasted. I'll give you a good example. Prior to the election year this year, the mayor, Healy, at the moment, came out and says, right at this building, Mary Bethune, says, oh great, we got a few $1 million from a company that polluted the air and we're going to start building a nice park right there at Fulton between MLK and Bergen. Construction should have started in April. Today, we are in a year later. We haven't seen anything yet. And that's something I'm going to follow up to find out where did the money disappear to. Now, as far as giving people going into the system, collecting unemployment or collecting welfare, you're right about it. I do believe these people should be screened much better. Determine whether there's a need for them to really be on welfare. Because there's a lot of young folks that could go out there, get a good job, and consistently working, whether get promoted, whether they have a college degree or not. But if they know that their life depends on that job, they will work harder and create a better work environment for themselves, which in turn will turn around and help the city by tax and many other means. I also do believe welfare is really killing our youth out there. Because my own personal take, and I spoke to youth, young girls that clearly wants to be pregnant, because if they're not pregnant, they can't get the help that they need, so they could whether go out and get an apartment on their own or leave their parents. And that's wrong. Okay, they should not, and I'm talking about 16, high school kids that wants to be pregnant because without being pregnant, they can't get the insurance they need, they can't get the funding they need to move out or to get money. And that's absolutely wrong. There should be a cap on that. They should be. And if that young girl happen to work, if she drop out of school, if she doesn't have a complicated pregnancy and drop out of school, then funding should be cut right there and then. You either stay in school or else you can't get food stamp, housing assistance, whatever it is, you need to continue to go to school. Getting pregnant is not an excuse to drop out. It's clearly not. And welfare and food stamp is definitely helping. Clearly helping. And I am not happy with that at all.
Okay. What do you think would be one of the actions or one of many actions that can be taken to turn this community around?
Good question. I think some of the top nonprofit organization that's in this area that knows the loophole on how to get federal, state, and local government funding needs to kind of stop for a second and reevaluate their program. They need to understand whether they are meeting every needs that is necessary. And I'm going to give one example. From Miami, when the Super Bowl came down to Miami, almost every school or every community center have a football player or basketball player speaking to those youth, talking to them about how hard it was for them to get to where they are. But if they consistently practice and do what they need to do, they'll get somewhere. We just had our Super Bowl here. There's not one banner in this area. And I drove Bergen, MLK, JFK, Ocean, Garfield. There's not one in this area. But downtown had banners all over that was put up by the city with our tax dollar. Did we have anyone came out to do a seminar in this center? The answer is no. Did any of our nonprofit organizations that collected hundreds of thousands of dollars, in some cases millions, petition the NFL or the Super Bowl committee to come out and speak to our youth, because our youth does play football. They watch football. We purchase the gear. So did anybody come out? No one did. So yeah, the city needs to understand when there is an opportunity, they need to spread the opportunity, not just where they believe that it's best, but in this area as well. And like I said, the nonprofit needs to do their part. When they accept money for a grant, they shouldn't just sit on the money or overpay certain group of people to do certain things and then the rest of the money disappeared. They need to analyze their action, the work that they are providing, see if it's working. If it's not working, they should really work towards creating a good environment to make.
What are your businesses here? And can you tell us a little bit, to get back on track with what you do here, what you provide to the community, to other entrepreneurs? What are some of the services that you provide to young and older entrepreneurs? Service?
Well, the number one thing I want to say that can help every young and new entrepreneur is that in most cases, whether they get their training from a college or from any institute, sometimes you need the assistant. A one-person entity or two-person entity is not enough to really make it. Our business offers the support that they need. You are one person, you come into our door, you said, okay, fine, I'm starting a barbershop or a hairstylist and so on, but I need help and I don't know whether I should get this license and so on. Between us here, we create a database, we create the research, and we start out as a free service. Okay, we sign a contract and what you want us to do, and then we assist you while you're out there doing what you need to do to get your business going. We do the research of everything and create a checklist for you. In addition to that, whether it's licensing or permit, if it is a corporation you want to form, we could form this corporation right here for you. If it is at a county level, we could assist you completing the paperwork and submit it for you as well. So anything you need, we can help you. So basically, we're not a coaching entity. We are a let us help you, let's do it together type of entity.
Now, you also have conference room that looks to be about maybe 600 to 700 square feet, and then you have another smaller office space, and your assistant says that young entrepreneurs are even able to store their documents here if they need to. They're able to have fax services. You help them with tax services and anything else. You're almost like an office for them that they don't have. How much do you rent your conference spaces for to entrepreneurs in the community, business owners in the community?
That's great. We have various prices. We do have a 200 square foot office and another, this one is actually 800.
Okay.
And it's $19 per hour. And at the very same time, based on the person, if for some reason we understand that you're a new startup and you can't afford it, we work with you to make sure that you get the space that you need. And the reason for it, when we first started, we were meeting our client. We started in a basement, in our basement, and then it grew and keep growing and growing, and today that's why we're here. We needed a spot every now and then. And not every customer wants to go to a coffee shop and sit down and so on. And then when you do, there's often distraction. And here, in between the two offices, it's completely private, equipped with computer use, fax, notary, basically anything you need to get your business going on the spot. We have it here.
So I mean that's a great price, because where can a business owner or a young entrepreneur rent a conference room for $19 an hour?
In Jersey City or Hudson County or anywhere, I have not seen it, because we searched it over and over and we tried. We couldn't find anything at all, and we couldn't. So this is offer full privacy. In addition, we have parking in the back for private use. Nowhere at all.
A lot of people feel like, unfortunately, Greenville suffers from chicken liquor and church syndrome. What are some of the businesses that you would like to see come to Greenville? What, as a Republican, because Republicans are known as mavericks that like to take a chance. They step out on faith. You know, I'm sure you got people that told you, why are you opening up this type of business in this community? Nobody's going to need your service.
That's an excellent question, and I give you right at this moment, I am getting ready to set a major fight with zoning as well as planning. I do believe they kind of zone this area primarily for those type of service. I would love to see a dealership here, because the moment you have constant interaction and people noticing what's happening here, that's how you start seeing some changes. And currently, I don't believe MLK is zoned to have a dealership, a car dealership. I like to see Starbucks come around here, where people understand they don't need to go downtown. They don't need to go to Hoboken to find a Starbucks. So I would love to see a Starbucks anywhere within that area. I understand Dunkin' Donuts is further down, but we need to spread better business here. In addition, there are some empty space. I would love to see a very nice professional, when I said professional, and I truly mean professional business incubator that's here. And that has to be limited, not to anyone that want to come in and open a 2-day business, but they need to be here. If it's 6 days, they should open, not 3 days out of the 6.
Now, I notice you and your business partner, who's also your wife, you guys are pretty fit people. I've met your wife. She's a beautiful woman. There's also a problem in Greenville with weight. You guys seem to be pretty fit. You keep yourselves in good shape. Would you like to see maybe a natural organic vegetable stand, some juice bars? Would you like to see restaurants that are more geared with healthy food for the community? Someone daring to take a chance the way you did, because you're a success here. Would you say that a business like that can be successful in Greenville?
I truly believe it can, because if you go other places, especially right now, there's a new fruit and vegetable place open down closer down to west side, I think on the 440 area. You see a lot of our people here. Now, exactly, they actually travel there. Before we accept this location, I was working with a young entrepreneur that wanted to open a shop only geared to fruit and vegetable, anything organic, and we worked very well to kind of get the product. At the end, it fall down to he did not have the funding to really get the business going. This location would have been a fruit and vegetable location with organic. I also work with a young lady down in the junction that I'm hoping that down the stretch she would bring open an additional location on MLK. This is a pending transaction. But going back to obesity, that's where I believe also we could limit the amount of money we give when it comes to food stamps.
People like Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and people that own smaller organic places take food stamps, so that a person, even though that they're on food stamps, they're able to take, just because you're poor doesn't mean you want to eat bad. Would you like to see companies like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and other smaller natural supermarkets gear themselves to be able to take food stamps, so that people that may be poor, but they can eat, you still have a choice of what you put in your body, but even though you're poor,
That's an excellent statement, because truly, when I envision myself as a governor, should I were to ever make it as a governor, that's one of the work I would actually work with food stamps to make sure that every organic places, every healthy food places able to accept food stamp without the complications and so forth.